Thank you. Here I am, a teacher again.
Go to your seats, please.
You just can't help sometimes.
No, it's okay.
Okay. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Can we get a little bit more enthusiasm?
Good.
All right. This is a moose lodge, not a funeral home. Come on. Listen, I like to have audience participation when I speak, and when I speak, I set some rules. Not really rules, something I like. So if I could get everybody, if I say something that you like, could you say, "Hey now"? Okay. So let's practice that. Okay. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
Hey now.
I think we can do a little better. Come on. So, as Al Bundy would say, make me feel it. Okay. Okay, on the count of 3, one again. 1, 2, 3.
Hey now.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, now, here's the thing. I want you to do something for me if you don't mind. It's not illegal or immoral, okay? It's kind of fun. If you could just close your eyes. Everybody close your eyes. And imagine a world where there is no judgment. Imagine a world where love really rules the day. Imagine a world where awareness was the thing that brought us together. Imagine a world where we really understood that our differences are really meant to bring us together and not divide us. Imagine that. Imagine that world. Now open your eyes, okay? And I want you to remember this moment because at the end it's going to make sense to you, okay? So remember that. I'll give you a little bit of history about who I am. My name is Samuel Hutchins. If you need my whole name, Samuel Duran Hutchins. And I'm an alcoholic. Just kidding. Just kidding. Just kidding. Wanted to make sure I had you guys' attention, okay? I wanted to make sure I had you guys' attention because first off, before I tell you who I am, I just got to say some heartfelt. Gina and Sam are so important to what it is that I was doing and when I met them. And I'm gonna tell y'all right now, it may be some crying up here, okay? Because when I speak from the heart, okay? There's nothing, I don't write anything down. I just speak from the heart and tell you about my life's experience, okay? And when I met Sam and Gina and I saw what they were doing, and it was so in line and in tune with what I was doing, and this was just from a Facebook post. But when I met them, you talk about two of the most incredible people. I mean, just human beings. And that's what we need to understand about one another. If nothing else, the pandemic taught us, it should have taught us this. We're all in the same condition. Every one of us. And a lot of times we think what the material things that we have puts us in a different position, but it doesn't. Because in the pandemic, it didn't matter how much money you had. It didn't matter how big the house you lived in. We all had to abide by those same rules. Okay? So in understanding that, there should absolutely be no reason for anybody to ever be cruel to another human being. It shouldn't. It just absolutely shouldn't. Is that a hey now moment?
Hey now.
Okay. Don't forget me now. Come on, hey now. Okay. Don't forget me. So, and having said that, it lined up with, and I got that. And there's some other people that will get it because they said something similar to it as well. And what they were saying was, you don't have any right, no reason to treat somebody. So, but the thing about autism is, and we had this at the table discussion here, which was great. And again, autism is not a disability; it's a different ability, and that's what we need to understand. Thank you. Yeah, all right, and that's what we need to understand. I was at a mental health seminar here earlier this last week before I came here, and one of the things that people with mental health, and I was talking to some people after, and I said, if we could just stop calling it mental illness, because you hear the word illness and you automatically think something bad, but your mental health is so important to you. It's so important to you, and so you do whatever it is so you make sure that that mental health is healthy, okay? Not an illness. Don't attack it as an illness. But again, getting back to what I was saying about autism, people look at it and they try to put people in boxes. they're trying to say, well, we'll just put them over here, or we'll just put them over there. You see what I'm saying? And what winds up happening is we get tolerance. You see what I'm saying? But here's what I'm trying to tell you. Tolerance is temporary. Okay? Awareness carries you always, because now you're aware. So you'll know what to do when you see a situation like that again, as opposed to tolerance. What you'll do with tolerance is you'll say, okay, I'll put up with it as long as I'm here. But when I go, I don't care anything else about that. And that's the difference between tolerance, okay? That's the difference between tolerance and awareness. So you want to know about awareness. And it's a perfect example. I mean, I love the theme for this. Knowledge is power. Because there's so many stigmas, so many misnomers about autism and what autism is. And people don't understand. Autism is a superpower. For lack of a better word, it's a superpower. It absolutely is. Okay? It's an absolute superpower. And my son, Xavier, who's on, you tell you about, here comes the crying part now. My son was born in 1992. He was diagnosed with autism in 1994. I knew nothing about autism, so I thought. But what I did realize was that God had been preparing me for this all my life. Tell you a quick story. In the neighborhood where I lived at the time, I was 10 years old. And there was this young man, his name was Jack, but they called him Baby Jack. Baby Jack was autistic. This was in 1972, okay? And he lived right in the backwoods. So his dad, whose name was Jack, you know, and Baby Jack couldn't really do anything on his own. But what he could do, you know, but his dad was so patient. And Baby Jack had like a pointed nose. And me and my friends would go and watch while Jack was giving Baby Jack a shave, because again, he couldn't shave himself. But he would take his nose and push it up. And my friends, for whatever reason, they would start laughing. But for me, I'm like, I don't see anything funny about that. But what I paid attention to was the temperament that his dad had for Jack. I'm 10 years old now, remember this, I'm 10 years old. The temperament that he had with Baby Jack. He was just taking his time, and his son was just as happy as he could be. I'm 10, don't have kids yet, okay, but 10, but again. And for some reason, there was something in me that said that, you know, made me interested. And I didn't see anything funny about what was going on, I just thought it was interesting. And so when I had my son, I drew back to that time, you know, because everybody has that moment when you realize, you know, that your son has autism or your daughter has autism. And mine came one day. We were watching TV, and my son was nonverbal. And he always sat in my lap. And he was playing with my mouth. You know, he kept pulling it down. And I'm, you know, I'm thinking that was what he wanted. But then he climbs up, and he opens my mouth wide, and he looks down in my mouth. And he sat back down in my lap and started crying. Because he wanted to know why he couldn't talk.
Right.
He's seen everybody in the room talking. That broke my heart. But that got me started to say the quality of life that my son has is in my hands, and I'm going to do everything I can to make his quality of life better. Hence, born the Hope for Xavier Foundation.
Amen. Amen.
And I protected that young man as much as I could, gave him everything that I possibly could, and you find, and when you reflect, you realize, and all this time I thought I was leading him, Xavier was leading me. Xavier was teaching me what I needed to take care of him, but the message that he was teaching me was telling me that it was bigger than he and I. It was bigger than both of us. Xavier was telling me that, Dad, you gotta go. He couldn't nonverbal. I tell people all the time, my son could not. He was nonverbal, but he spoke volumes. And he was the message that he displayed to me with the love that he gave me was, Dad, we need to tell everybody about this. Because like I say, and I've told this to a couple of people in here, that sometimes when I first got into it, and like I said, I dove head first into it. I bought a t-shirt, okay? This was in 1994. And the t-shirt said, 1 in every 88 children will be born with autism. One of them was mine, okay? 2 years later, it went to 1 in 66. Okay. 4 years after that, it went down to 1 in 40. And now it's down to around 1 in 36, and even higher than that in boys. And what Sam is doing is just showing people that stop with the stigma, stop with the limitations, stop with the lowering the expectations. All they want is an opportunity. Because like I said, with opportunity comes endless possibilities. And absolutely, that's what Sam is doing, and he inspires me so much. And I don't know if you guys followed the story, but it just may be another crying moment coming up here. We'll try not to, but on November 27th, I lost my son, along with autism. He had a seizure condition, and he would just, be walking, and all of a sudden, he would fall. Now, when I was with him, I knew because he made a sound right before he fell, and I knew like I can catch it. And picture this now: Xavier is 6'4", 345 pounds, but just the easiest going guy that you would ever want to meet. Easiest going guy that you ever want to meet, and he taught me so much, and he instilled in me. And for 32 years and 11 days, that the way he came into this world changed my life, and the way he left it changed it too. And I was in such a funk because I was 30 years older than Xavier, okay? So I always had this thing in the back of my head, what's gonna happen to him when I'm gone? I was preparing stuff for that. That kept me driving, that kept me pushing, that kept me wanting it. To make sure that everybody understood what autism really was, and make sure that you understood what it wasn't. Please understand what it wasn't. And it pushed me, and it drove me to do that. But then on November 27th, at 11:40, my son transitioned. I was not prepared for that. I did not know what to do. And my wife here, Dawn, bless her heart. And you look at her, how beautiful she is, I know what you're thinking. Why are you doing this to yourself? But she has been, and it put her in a position as well. But she let me know that she was in that with me. Because if she knew what to say, she would have already said it to get me out of that. If she knew what to do, she would have already done it. But she would come to me sometimes, not knowing what to say, but she didn't understand how powerful this was. And she was like, baby, just don't give up. I don't want to lose you. I don't want to lose you. Because there was a thing going around, but people used to see me and Xavier out. And one lady saw me at the mall. She worked with me. She said she saw me and Xavier at the mall. And she said, the look on your face, she said, at work, I've never seen that. She said, but you just had such a peace and a calmness about you with him. And she said, it moved me to tears. And I was like, wow, I didn't know that. And I said that to say this. This young lady back here, please stand up, wave. Told me a story about how Xavier inspired her, how following what we do on space make her a better parent, gave her parenting skills, and that's what it's all about. That's really what it's all about. I got a necklace on, and on the back of it says, "We can, we will," and that's the moniker that we take. We can, we will. We don't need people, but we got to change that, and we can do that. And Steve. What can I say about this guy? That's my brother. That's my brother right now. That's my brother. And again, here in Indiana, I'm in Georgia. But like I said, I'm closer to these people here in Indiana than I am some of the people in Georgia. And it's because of their spirit. It's because of they believe in what it is that they're doing. Because, ladies and gentlemen, this doesn't happen without a lot of preparation. This doesn't happen without a lot of purpose. This doesn't happen without a lot of passion that goes into working for here today. This doesn't happen. Sam's podcast. There's so much that goes on behind those scenes, but what goes on is so important to what goes on. If that makes sense. Because when he puts that product out there, a lot of work done went into it, a lot of research done went into it, a lot of technical stuff that has gone into it. Okay? But yes, but getting back to what I was saying about when I lost my son and I didn't know what to do, I got 2 pieces of advice from some people, and I'm not going to call the names because they may sue me. They would just be practicing because I don't have anything. But anyway, one lady, she told me, she said, be easy. She said, be patient with your grief. Be patient with your grief. And she was 100% right. But then I got another one that said, and if you look on the back of these, the layout that I gave you, on the back it's got a letter that I wrote to Xavier, which was helping me cope with my grief. And a young lady saw that and she hit me in my inbox and she said, I know you're lost right now. She says, I know you're probably wondering what it is that you need to do. She said, but Sam, all you need to do is just go back to being Xavier's dad because that won't ever change. A light bulb went off in my head. I got renewed, and visions of what I was planning to do before his death, they got renewed again and again, you know, because it's like I tell some people, and some people will call and check on me, and they say, Sam, how are you doing? And I'll tell them, you know, most days I'm okay, but there are still those moments when I feel like I'm losing my mind because I never envisioned being here without him. I was always prepared for him to be here without me. Always. But Xavier taught me through his spirit. And this was one thing I said. The ground got his body. God has his soul.
Mm-hmm. Amen.
His spirit right here. And I used to always wonder when Gina started having these, me and Xavier I was planning. Me and Xavier was going to come, but I know he does have a thing with claustrophobia. However, he does have a trust thing with me where he'll do anything with me as long as he sees it's okay with me. And I was wondering, I said, I don't know if he's going to get on the plane and that kind of thing. I didn't wonder how I was going to get him. But you probably looked at me a little strange, but God worked it out. I brought Xavier's spirit here with me to Indiana.
Amen.
And I'm going to carry that spirit till they shuffle me off of this earth. And I'm going to continue to do the advocacy work that needs to be done. Continue to knock down those stigmas. Continue to knock down those walls that people want to put up. And put limitations on what it is that they can do. Put it in, and get it out of the way. I got a story that I'm going to tell you right now. It's about this young man. Well, they just would not give him a chance. And, you know, and I just happened to see his dad at my brother's church. And his dad was telling me about it. He said, my son, I'm not going to call his name either because, you know, again, he may practice suing me. But he was telling me about they're working at Kroger, and I don't know if they got that chain here in India. It's called Kroger, and they do hire a lot of kids with, you know, different abilities. Again, I don't say disabilities, different abilities, and they've been giving him like 20 hours a week. You know, maybe working 3 hours today, 2 hours tomorrow. You know, that thing wouldn't really bring home any money. And so his dad was telling me about that, and he said, well, you know, he's never going to be on his own. You know, and I was like, well, we're hiring, you know. I said, tell him to come up. He said, well, what is it? I said, it doesn't matter. I said, it's not rocket science. I said, if it was, I wouldn't be working there. So, and I said, as a matter of fact, none of us would be. And so he took him, you know, just to the agency that we do our hiring through. And he didn't do well on the assessment. You know, again, they tried the box. You know, he didn't fit the box. So his dad calls me and says, well, Sam, I appreciate you trying to get my son on, but he didn't do too well on the assessment. So, and I think then that, and they said that he didn't do well. And I said, you know what, hold on a minute. I said, let me go into work tomorrow. I said, I'm going to talk to some people. So I went and talked to my supervisor, then I went and talked to HR. Fast forward, he's been working there 10 years. He has a mortgage. He has a brand new truck.
Hey now.
Okay, he's living independently, paying his own bills. And every time I see his dad, his mom, they thank me for that. But again, what I tell him is, the only thing I did was give Ethan an opportunity. And he's been working at 10. He worked 3 years where he didn't miss a day. He had perfect attendance. So if I'd have let them leave him in that box while he didn't pass, he didn't do work on the assessment, then Ethan's trajectory might have been different. I got a million stories like that. And I'm inspired when I see people thriving. I was so interested with the Temple Grandin story. I saw that on HBO years ago. Again, when you find out about autism, you'll grab anything that's got autism wrote on it. I'm telling you, if they sold toilet paper with autism on it, I would have got it. I would have picked it up right. Okay. I just had to dive in to know what I needed to know, because I knew my quality of life was in my son's hand, and that's not something that I was going to take lightly. And I knew that with the percentages going in the wrong direction, that it was a mission that, and I tell people this all the time, and they say, they say I got a Messiah complex. I don't think that's a bad thing, but I do have to understand this, and I tell them all the time, I'm not trying to change the whole world, just the part that I live in, okay? Because everybody that's on this spectrum, everybody that's an advocate for people on this spectrum, we all got a part to play. I look at it as autism being this big weight, okay? And we had this discussion coming in. A lot of hands makes for a light load, okay? But we're going to lift this thing up. And Sam Mitchell, you do a great job at that. I am so inspired by you. Because I look at it and I say, if he can, we can, okay? If he can, we can, okay? And I wanted to leave you guys with this, and I know we got to go because we got an imminent storm that's imminent that's coming here. If you guys would do me one favor, I got an assessment on your table there, and you kind of grade me on how I did here. And I'll be collecting those because, again, Sam's a speaker, okay? It's something that I want to get into as well, okay? And Papa Joe, I heard some great stories about you yesterday. You and I got to talk. You and I got to talk, okay? What do you say, lies, all lies?
He is lying to his feet.
Yeah, and again, this has been a great honor for me. Gina, thank you so much. Doug, again, you probably asked the sheep queen, why are you doing this to yourself? But no, I'm just kidding. To be clear, you and I both outkicked our coverages, they like to say. But again, if you don't mind, just take a look at. We got some T-shirts over there. We got to order for them because we couldn't bring all of our merch. So I just brought samples. Or if you want to just make a donation, I got QR codes over there for us as well. And again, what I wanted to leave you with this: when you're feeling down, when you feel like you just can't go on, remember this. Okay? That should have been a hey now, maybe, but okay. When you have endured the worst that life has to offer, remember the best, by the grace of God, is not that far behind. Thank you. Now, the hey now. This is why I need to bring you back to the hey now. Hey now was something we all did together. Okay? So this advocacy thing, this changing the trajectory, this changing the perspective, this changing how people look at autism and its abilities. Because we have to understand that autism chose us. We didn't choose autism. But autism is in for a fight because we're going to continue to fight that good fight. Thank you.
Amen.
Well, now I'm going to cry. So, no, thank you, Samuel. That was really, really moving, and I knew that it would be. And I just do have to say, I'm just going to totally mirror what he said. When Sam and I met Samuel, I can't even explain it. You know, we meet a lot of people as we do this, and I feel like that Sam and his lovely wife Dawn, I don't know, I just feel like they were meant to be put in front of us. And so it really, you know, like I've got one of my best friends here for life, and I know Sam too. So anyway, one more round of applause for Samuel. That's so beautiful. So yeah, I think we're going to shut down a little early. I think so. About 6 o'clock sharp. I almost said ish again, not ish. So 6 o'clock. So between now and then, just a reminder of what we have. So the wine wall is still available. So $10 donation, and then there's some deals over there. Silent auction, obviously. The Xavier shirts are back there. We also have merchandise. Donations are back there. We have hats. And then the girls back there can tell you all of the donation prices on that. And help yourself to food. There's water pop over here. So the last 20 minutes, mingle and, you know, meet new people and eat.
Cookies.
Oh yeah, those cookies. I've lost 18 pounds and it's not coming back. So take those cookies, eat those.
Over there.
Yeah, and those over there too. So yeah, thank you everybody for coming. Really appreciate it.
And if you liked our Facebook page and you wrote your name down, I'm going to start gathering those for the drawing. Go.
I'm gonna get a pen and fill this out right now.
Okay, thank you.
You got one. You got one.
One last thank you, one more, and then I'll promise I'll be quiet. One last. Can we give a hand to this young man right here? He has been Mr. Caleb.
Absolutely.
Sam's a really good friend from college, and he's been staying with, I had to put up with him for 3 days, actually. So, no, he's my second son. He says I'm his second mom, so he really has to be good. So, anyway, he's done all of our footage for the commercial that we're making, so please give him a round of applause. He's done a great job. Love you, Caleb.